It's the Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul, the podcast about stories in business and in life, with your hosts Ed Fox and Paul Odendahl. Yeah, there you go. We appreciate it. Hey, have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Mac, have a great day. Thanks for being on the show. Okay, get out. Susan is next. Susan is our next guest on the show. Mac.
Okay.
I'm leaving.
Mac. I said, get out, Mac. My Lord.
Hey, so
they don't want to leave us. Ed. They don't want to leave.
G'day and welcome to the Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul and our special guest who was early. She must have had the same band teacher my kids did who said, early is on time is late, and late is dead.
I'm usually late. Actually.
Okay, well, look at that.
Dead.
She was so excited to be on our show. She showed up early. Hey,
well,
Susan.
I was really, but this is, I'm on such a weird schedule these days. I don't sleep well at night. So I'm usually up from 1 until 4. And then I go back to sleep and I woke up and it was 8 o'clock already. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to get dressed. I have to look presentable.
Well, we're glad that you got dressed before you came on the show. I got at least, as far as you know, I got half dressed. I got a new shirt that I was bragging about. But Susan,
well, I just figured out if I put something on with color, it's better,
There you go. It's sort of like, it's a red color too. It's sort of like, it reminds me, of the Swiss flag. I don't know much about Switzerland, but we do know that its flag's a big plus.
I'm going to have to start filling this cup with alcohol so I can make it to these shows. And we may need the alcohol too to be shipped out.
Oh, I like it.
One of these wonderful Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul cups.
In the right hand, we have
at 1 o'clock in the morning. At 1 o'clock in the morning, when you can't sleep, the best part of waking up is Ed and Paul on your cup. So that'll be good.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
You're going to get us in trouble with the powers that be.
No,
I don't know what powers that be. Okay, so let's get serious, folks. Yeah, never going to happen on the Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul. So you're joining us here today with Susan Sheppard. And Susan, tell us a little bit about what you do, and keep it to sound bites so that Paul and I can interject with some crap in between.
Well, the bottom line of what I do is fix broken hearts.
You're on the right show. You're on the right show.
You want to start with his or mine?
Whichever. I'll do both of you. Oh, that
dang.
sounded bad. Wait a minute.
I got to go feed the dogs. That's what Pavlov said when he heard the phone, the bell.
I have a very weird history. I used to save lives. I worked in the emergency room for 40 years.
Yes.
And then I divorced the love of my life because he had PTSD from Vietnam. He was the father of my 3 daughters. And I started dating a young man who was 18 years younger than me. And
from Australia.
And no, he was from Iran, actually. And his mother and I were the same age, so we did not date very long. That didn't work at all.
He was the
However, we became really good friends. And he went back to dating his old girlfriend, and for 2 years, they had a very dramatic relationship, breaking up, getting back together, whatever. Everything that could go wrong did. And I ran into her about 2 years later, and she said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You don't even like me." And she said, "Well, you're right. I don't like you, but you have something I want." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I don't even know this girl hardly. She said, "You have the kind of relationship that I want to have, and I want you to teach me." And I'm like, what? And I was a business coach at the time. I had been working for Michael Gerber and was being a small business coach. And I said, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." She kept asking me, and I said, "Well, okay, we'll do it on a trial basis. I don't trust you. Any funny business and you're gone." And I had taken every course I could find on relationships after I got divorced because I wanted to know how to do it right. So I just taught her everything I knew, and she became my very first client. And it was way more fun talking about love and sex than it was about management and marketing. So I switched.
And was one of those resources the movie Hutch?
Oh, that was way after me. I started in 1990.
Was that Hutch or Hitch?
Hitch. It was Hitch. Yeah.
Oh, Hitch.
If
Hutch.
you're gonna
Hitch. I don't know. I don't know.
Get it right. So that brings this up. So I don't have a broken heart. I have a wonderful heart that's like as big as my body because I am married to the most wonderful wife in the world. And we've been married for 31
That's
years.
because she made a very good choice.
That's what I say. I told her she was the
That's
smartest.
I got to have another drink on that one.
I told her she was the smartest woman I'd ever met, and she had great taste in men. And once she rolled her eyes, I knew it was all over because that's all the appreciation I needed.
My point of view is women do the choosing and women do the ending. Men won't go away until they get dismissed.
See, that's why Maccabee wouldn't leave the show.
Yeah, you have to send him away.
There you go.
That's very funny.
We've learned something for our show.
The
The women will leave probably in the middle of our show, and Maccabee and the guys that are on the show, we got to pry them off the show.
You got to tell them to go away.
That's because if you piss them off, Paul, they'll leave.
Oh, come on. I'm not really pissing them off.
No, not yet.
Paul is
We're
too
only on our
nice.
second show. Give us a chance.
Susan, would you tell him a little bit about Paul? He doesn't know Paul at all.
Paul is very nice. He's very considerate. He sends me these wonderful notes when we're on the mastermind and tells me how much I'm appreciated and how much I was missed when I was among the missing.
He sends me those notes too. And then he tells me to pay attention. I'm like,
I'm going to take your citizenship. I'm going to take your citizenship and your shirt back if you keep it up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be safe. So what I want to find out about Susan is where were you in the, was it the ER for 40 years?
Yes.
Okay. So where was that?
Well, I started in Illinois. I went to nursing school at Northwestern University at Evanston Hospital. I married my husband. I was in Oklahoma for a year and then back to Evanston for just a few months, really. Had a baby and moved to California in 1969. I worked at Children's Hospital, at UCI, at pretty much every hospital in Southern California because I did a lot of the rent-a-nurse kind of work.
Right. Gotcha.
Nice.
So then you got into, how did you transition from nursing into business coaching?
Well, I went back to school to get a business degree.
Okay.
And when I got my business degree, I wanted to learn how to make a small business successful. And I wanted to work with small businesses, and I don't mean small business like the $20 million kind. I meant startup businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking for a consulting company and I was having a hard time actually finding anything. And then I remembered that I had seen this ad, and there was an ad when I was like still in school, and I had made an attempt to apply and just never got through. And then the ad showed up again, and it was like, do you want to learn how to start and run a small business so that you don't have to do everything yourself? And I went, oh yeah, that's it. And I called him up, and it was Michael Gerber. You know Michael Gerber.
From eMyth.
From the eMyth, right.
Yep.
So I interviewed with him and I worked directly with him in his small company. It was, at that time, it was called the Michael Thomas Corporation. And my job was to cold call on small businesses and do the business analysis, get an appointment and do the business analysis, which ultimately ended up being a sales call. And I did that for 3 years, literally walked the streets of LA.
Wow.
You know? And it was really an incredible experience. I learned how to do that. I learned what I wanted to learn. I did not make the money I wanted to make. You know, I wanted to make enough money to buy my own. And so then what happened is I said, well, I need to do something. And so some of my friends said, you know, there's no businesses in worse trouble than hospitals. And I said, you're right. So I started looking for a hospital that was on the verge of collapse, which wasn't too hard. And I did find one. And I called up. They had an ad. And I called up and I said, look, your ad's been in the paper for 6 or 8 weeks. You haven't found anybody yet. That tells me either the hospital's in trouble or the people who are running it are obnoxious. And the girl that I was talking to in human resources, she said, how did you know? I'm like,
which one was it, or both?
She said, we're in big trouble here. And I said, great. put me in touch because that's what I want to do. So I did. I went to work. It was Burbank Community Hospital. We did a complete turnaround. I had fun with it. It was like I created a system literally in that ER. I bought them all new equipment, hired all new people, and had a system where each patient could be handed a bill on their way out the door. And at the same time, it reordered everything we had used.
Wow.
And fixed the ICU. And then ultimately, it was a long story, but anyway, I left there because they were selling the hospital.
But
and
do you class that as one of your big successes to turn that hospital around? You must have affected
it was a
thousands
success.
of lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The hospital ultimately failed, but it's because most of the small hospitals around here were being bought up by bigger ones or shutting down because they couldn't handle the trauma. There's a rule here, and I think it's a federal rule that you can't transfer people. If they show up on your doorstep and they're dying, you have to save them.
Right.
And so they were getting inundated with these indigent patients that were from the gangs and that kind of thing. Not so much Burbank, but some of the other hospitals that I worked at. I did administration at 6 different hospitals in 7 years.
Wow.
Now it led to.
Well,
I'm waiting to get to this broken hearts, love and sex. How excited is that for a show? Broken hearts, love and sex. I want to get right to the broken hearts, love and sex.
So tell us about one of your great successes in your current career.
Okay. There was a woman. She was 55.
God bless.
She was actually a widow at this point, but she had been married for 30 years to the same man who was rather, I don't think he was abusive. He was probably a narcissist. He expected her to do everything and he could sit on his butt. They had 3 kids and she was working 2 jobs nights. She was a nurse and she was working 2 jobs, night shift, 12-hour shifts. So that meant she was working 14 nights every 2 weeks. And she came to me, she read my book, and she came to me and she said, I want to get married again, but this time I want to marry somebody that's going to take care of me instead of me taking care of him. I said, okay. So we started working together. I took her shopping for clothes because the only clothes she had were scrubs because that's all she did was work and sleep. And we did a makeover. We did hair and makeup and clothes. And this was back in 1990. 90? No, 1999. 1999. That's when it was. Because I told her, okay, now you need to go meet 40 men. And she went, 40? And I said, yeah, 40. You have to meet 40. I said, it's a lot, but it's doable. And you need to change your perception of who you're looking for. And so she said, well, how do I do that? And at that time, I said, well, maybe you need to answer ads in the personals. And I'm thinking, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, oh my God, she's going to fire me. She's going to tell me, you're crazy. I won't do it. But she didn't. She actually started doing it. And she started meeting men and learned really. I had learned with the very first client, I had that girl that I told you about. I had this system, and this system was really that if you meet these men or women, if you're a man, you can meet women.
I was just going to ask that.
It works the same
advice
way.
for talk host?
It's the same
talk show
advice.
host? You should go meet 40 women? Oh.
It's the same advice, except I coach men different than women because men are about production. Women are about appetite. Okay.
Ooh.
So anyway, she started dating and went crazy and was just, well, first of all, I told her she had to quit her job. I said, you have to quit your job. You have to get off the night shift. So she did. She literally got a job working for an ambulance company as a critical care transport nurse.
Wow.
And so she was only working 10 days a month, which gave her 20 days a month to meet men. And she fell in love with everyone at first. The first one was her auto mechanic who'd been working on her cars that didn't even know her name. He'd been working on their cars for 20 years, still didn't know. And I said, no, that's not him. Then there was a doctor who was going through a divorce and just wanted somebody to listen to him. No, that's not him. And I never said no to people, but she started going crazy with the personal ads. And then she called me. She said, I want you to come. It's Thanksgiving and I want you to meet somebody. And I went to meet this person. And so her whole family was there and this guy was there and he was looking at her like she was the most gorgeous woman on the planet and waiting on her. I said, can I get you some tea, dear? Is there anything you need? And I looked at him and I said, well, he's a keeper. And she said, well, he's not that cute, but he's so nice. And I said, cute isn't about what it's about. And I said, he's adorable. He's worshiping the ground you walk on. Ultimately, what happened is they got married 6 months later. He turned out to be quite wealthy because his former wife had invested all their money in the stock market while she was an invalid in bed. They owned some property at the beach, a little house on a big piece of property at the beach. They got married. They had a couple challenges, and then they built 2 houses on this property he had and moved into the front one, which has a view of the ocean, and rented out the other one. And they travel all over the world to go to art events and plays and things like that. So
that's awesome.
She said, I changed her life. And I think she did it. I just guided her.
Right. So let me ask you this. So what's the ideal client look like for you?
The ones I've had the most success with are professional women in their 30s who've never married and want to have children and are, basically put their personal life on the side and became some kind of a professional. Those are the ones I've had the most success with.
So how would somebody reach out to you if they wanted to engage your services? And obviously you've had the most success with women in their 30s, but you also help men as well, right? If they wanted to reach out to you and
absolutely
get help meeting someone. So what's the best way for them to contact you?
And I heard something about a book. I need to learn about this book.
Susan, tell us about the books.
Well, the first book that I wrote in 2003, I wrote because my clients asked me to. They said, you're teaching us all this stuff, please write it down. So I wrote this book. It's called How to Get What You Want from Your Man Anytime.
Hold it up. So that those of us that are watching it on YouTube or Facebook, How to Get What You Want from Your Man Anytime by Susan.
All right, you got us looking at the book. Okay.
All right.
Is that available on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. It is also available on my website. The class system is C stands for clarity, L stands for love yourself, A stands for learn how to ask for what you want, S stands for success with the 3 essential ingredients of a relationship, which are chemistry, compatibility, and love with respect. And the last S stands for step up and step out, because if you do all the work that I give you to do, you're ready to go out and pick somebody.
Cool.
So,
and then
that's
another
the first book. Then this little book is called Dating After 40, No More Excuses. It's my little giveaway book. And it's only about 40, 50 pages long. And it's got 10 excuses that people always give me about why they can't date when they're over 40. And it's not just over 40, obviously. It works for every age. But I was appealing to the over 40 crowd when I did this.
So it'll work for Ed. It'll work the same for over 60. Same for over 60, it'll work for Ed. Okay.
Well, I've had clients ranging in age from 20 to 80.
Wow.
I've had 80-year-olds. Well, and that's my generation.
Bless.
I'm almost 80 myself.
You're joking, right? You're kidding.
No, I'm not. I'm 77.
You don't even look 77, kid. Holy moly.
Well, thank you
Paul.
for that. Thank you for that.
Did you have a whole makeup team before you got on the show? Did you?
No makeup.
Oh my Lord, I can't believe you're that age.
I know people think I lie about my age, but I lie the wrong way.
In this case, I really think you were lying about your age. But anyway.
I was born in 43. You do the math.
Paul's not good on math.
Yeah, no, that's not from, no.
But anyway,
No, but I am stuck on 40. I got the 40 part. I got this 40 down.
To meet 40 women, and the purpose, let me tell you that this is really the crucial part. This is the transformational part of the work that I do. If you go out and you meet 40 new people, and I tell them, go meet people who are really outside your comfort zone. I mean, stretch. I mean, one of every color, one of every race, one of every nationality, younger, older, everything you can imagine. And people
smarter, not too smart, smarter, not
people
too,
you're
like
not attracted to. And the purpose in this, in meeting these people, and it's not to date them actually. I tell my clients, you're not allowed to date. You must do this exercise first. And the purpose of doing the exercise is to stretch your comfort zone, to expand your perception of who's out there for you. In other words, go and meet people who you don't understand and find something attractive about them. Find out what you don't like. Identify your deal breakers. Find out what gets them up in the morning, what turns them on, what makes them passionate. What is it? And then figure out what you learned about yourself and what you learned about the opposite sex in general from each of these people, and keep a journal. And I'm in the process of publishing the journal. It's all done, except it has to go to the printer. With these guidelines in it of what it is I want them to keep track of, so that when they do this, and every time, and the final step is when you meet these people, you're not to date them. You have to say no if they ask you out. You have to say, thank you for sharing. I appreciate the time you spent with me, but I'm not really ready for a relationship yet. Maybe I can get back to you, and you can get their information, but don't give them yours, because what happens is people get distracted. They go, oh, this is the one. And then they go spend 6 months with somebody that is the wrong person. And I say, no, do the exercise first. The exercise is transformational, because the last thing you do with each person is dismiss them. And you say, thank you for sharing, but I have to go. And when you dismiss them, it's a step up the self-esteem ladder. And literally after meeting 10 people, they're meeting a different class of people. They're attracting different people. The power of attraction is amazing. And literally what happens to people is that they shift and they start realizing there's other people out there in the world that are, what I'm looking for. And they broaden their perspective. And I mean, I have personal experience with it. I've done it myself, many times. But
Susan, that is some great advice. And you know what? You've been a business coach too, so that sort of relates a lot to the way I teach people to do one-to-ones. I'm almost like
you're absolutely right.
I'm the accidental business coach. I need to write that book.
You are absolutely right. In fact, I've spoken this 5-step process on business coaching calls and told them you can use this in your business as well, because the love yourself step is really about recognizing who is it you're looking for. Who are the people that you're looking for, whether it be in business or whether it be in love,
Exactly.
It identifies them. You find out what values they're looking for and what are the things that are important to them in life, and using this system in business works.
Let me tell you my story.
Hold on for a second, Ed. Susan.
Yes.
For someone who likes to do journaling, it sounds like an essential part of this process is the journaling part. So for the viewers that are watching, when you go to finish this journaling book and you get it produced or published or whatever they do to it, print it, is it going to be available to the viewers like in a package? Like, will it become part of a package on Amazon where you get the book and the journaling so you can journal your way through this process?
Absolutely, yes. It will be a package. It'll be up on Amazon, and I really did it for my clients, because I always tell them the first thing you have to do is get a journal and then do this. And then I tell them how to do it. And I said, well, why don't I make the journal for them? Well, it's been in process for a while. I kind of got delayed last year.
Yeah, I think the journal is a big plus.
Yeah.
Sort of like that flag in Switzerland. It's a big plus.
And it will be a package. If they get the book, they get the journal. I may have to up the price a little bit, but not much.
It's an essential part. Okay, Ed, sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. Well, it's been great having you on the call, Susan. What I was going to say was that, I didn't get a choice. This woman came up to me where I was working in Australia, and she tilted her head at me and she said, "You spent so long flirting with them Kiwi girls." That's them girls from New Zealand. She says, "I don't know whether you made me miss my bus or not for dinner. And even if you didn't, you should take me out." And I'm like, looking behind me going, I've heard of pushy American women. Now I've met one. I said, I might sound like Mel Gibson, but I don't look like him. She goes, "No, but you're funny." And I said, "Funny peculiar or funny ha-ha?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'll take you out." So I didn't have to do.
Smart woman, I'm telling you.
Exactly, and has great taste in men. That's what I kept telling her. And
Smart women.
Smart
women know what they want, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Here's the key. It's knowing what you want and knowing how to ask for it. Because literally, women are taught from an early age, at least my generation and probably all the generations after, they're taught that it's not polite to ask for what you want. You have to wait till it's offered. And if you're waiting till it's offered, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah, what's that old Chinese proverb? Man who stands on side of mountain with mouth open, waiting for roast duck to fly in, has a long wait.
Yep, that's the idea.
Hey, well, Susan,
right.
You're learning something
adorable,
on this show.
You know?
You're learning something on this show, Ed. See, you're learning. I wanted Susan on the show, and I got Susan on the show. See that? Going after what you want. Right. I wanted Susan on the show, and thank God she's on the show.
Well, thank you, Susan. We really appreciate having you, and make sure to send us an email with all your contact details so we can put it out there for our
the easiest way for anybody to contact me, by the way, is to go to susansheppard.com and click on Meet with Susan and make an appointment. Okay. I will give anybody an hour of my time.
Awesome, Susan. Thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And you guys are adorable, and your show is going to be a big hit.
Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
We appreciate that.
Well, that's it for this edition of the Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul. Thanks for listening. As always, we appreciate it. And if you'd like to subscribe, you can do that on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube. Thanks a lot and have a great day.